Friends, we have another luxury foundation to cover. Oh, I forgot to take out the house pin. My apologies. Or maybe I actually should just keep it in. The renegade twists need a spanking. We are now getting into the new Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Glow Serum Foundation. Glow Serum Foundation, so many names. This product was highly anticipated because I think it was the concealer that released first, and many of you had expressed enthusiasm for and was saying how you were excited to see how the foundation would fare out. Nordstrom had it on February 28th, but I was unable to get to the counter until this last weekend, and Kayla, the representative there, as well as Carlos, who was there for the trend show over the weekend, helped me out, skin matched me, and we have a deluxe sample. I also grabbed the Prisme Libre, the loose blush. This is like an iconic product, right? You recognize also that Givenchy carries the loose powder with the 4 colors in there because you have the correctors and the skin tone colors, so it makes your perfect shade. I have this in Flanelle Rubis, number 6, the brick red with the red. I couldn't stay away. And then I bought this eyeshadow palette. This, I think, was the limited spring release, LE 9.15. I'm kind of mad because this has a suggested shelf life of 6 months, but I will keep it in a cool, dry place so I could get a little more of the 6 months Givenchy, excuse me. But let's go back to the Prisme Libre foundation. I have been successful in the luxe foundation realm with great shade matching. My most recent love is the Prada Reveal Skin Optimizing Foundation in MN60. I have a luxe haul video as well as a live covering the swatches for this foundation, demoing it, comparing it to Gucci's foundation. So it's half and half. Some of you like the Gucci more, some of you like the Prada more, but I had my eye on the Givenchy because I thought the concept of a serum-based foundation was intriguing, and I had my implications, right? Because a serum product in the skincare realm could mean it's sticky, glassy, cushiony, bouncy, right? Those are the characteristics I find usually associated with a serum. And to have a foundation that's serum based, meaning that's like the body of the formula, and they use here says, let's read up, shall we? A foundation that offers buildable medium coverage and is formulated for a lightweight finish, not lightweight natural finish. The serum infused formula blurs, hydrates, and visibly improves skin over time. This hydrating serum infused foundation suits all skin types, offering long-lasting blur for a smooth and flawless finish all day. Powered by micro hyaluronic acid and ceramized yuzu extract, it leaves skin visibly plump, bouncy, and deeply hydrated even after you take it off. And that is, I think, what they're trying to drive home here, because it is a skincare based makeup product, that even after taking it off, your skin will still reap the benefits from the foundation's ingredients. Now, if you don't know, if it's your first time here, hi, I am a skincare minimalist, meaning I don't have a dedicated skincare routine where I apply serums, toners, essences, and moisturizers. I remove everything at the end of the day and slap on a little bit of Vaseline. That's it. So nice to have a makeup product that offers these benefits when applied. And sure, will my skin feel better post removing the Givenchy Serum Foundation? Perhaps. I used this foundation yesterday, or rather Kayla had applied it on Saturday. I used it again yesterday, and then I applied it here on the demo. We'll get into the comparisons between the Suku and the Prada. Don't you worry, I got those swatches on the footage. Just to quickly go over the details here, this foundation retails for $61. It is Luxe Beauty. It's very expensive, so something to consider if that's in your budget. The shade match, 4.5N. If you are my skin twin, hi, you got to get the shade. I say this with confidence. This is an even better shade match than the Prada. The Prada is neutral as well, but the Prada neutral is a lot more neutral versus the Prisme. This is giving a little more golden neutral that I welcome, as opposed to the Gucci neutral. The Gucci neutral on me leans like orange. It's strange. I think Gucci has to work on their undertones. But I was impressed by the texture of this foundation. The fact that it just melted into my skin. And when I applied it yesterday, 6:30 in the morning, by the way, and nothing on my face. I didn't even apply moisturizer. I just used water to rinse my face, dried it, and went straight into the foundation. I used my fingers to apply because I figured, okay, if it's skincare based, I usually would apply skincare with my fingers, so let's have at it. The way it just sank and blurred my imperfections, offered, as the description said, lightweight, light to medium coverage. You can build on the coverage, upper echelon of medium. You're not going to get high coverage from this foundation. Dare I say, the finish left behind, and I am a drier skin type, okay, is like creamy velvet. I'm not even kidding. It virtually just looked like my skin, but better. It has the characteristics of a tint, but with more coverage and just a far more sophisticated finish than a tint can usually offer. Foundation, and I know it has the word foundation, so you might expect, yes, you should expect more coverage, which you can get from this product as opposed to a dedicated tint. But my gosh, first of all, I just wasn't ready for the texture. The way this product does not appear like makeup on my skin. How I'm able to apply it with fingers if I wanted. How I could apply it with a brush. Here I use Sonia G's Mini Buffer just to work this product into my skin. If you wanted more coverage, you could probably use a denser brush to pounce the foundation into your skin. I would make sure you work it in because it's serum based. It's going to be a little more emollient. But again, as I had said before, the implications were that it might be glossy, it might be bouncy, it might be sticky, right? Serums with those textures and formulas can leave that type behind, those characteristics behind, but that was not the case. My skin does not feel sticky. It does not feel serumy, like I have something on my face that resembles a dedicated skincare serum. And I'm just still baffled, even after today's demo, how beautiful this foundation is. And again, the shade match is insane. And let me start with the comparison swatches here. I swatched 4.5N as the first on my arm. You can see, despite the neutral undertone in the label, it does lean a little golden, which I don't mind, because when I apply this on my face, it doesn't warm me up to a point where I look oddly tan compared to the rest of my body. Up next is the Prada Reveal in MN60. And isn't this interesting? Look how much more neutral the Prada appears next to the Givenchy. And I'm like, whoa, okay, well, and if I want a little more brightening, 100% I would plop on the Givenchy over the Prada. The Prada foundation, probably if I wanted like an overall cool look to my complexion, if I wanted like cool leaning eyes, cool leaning lip, cool leaning blush, and to have the foundation kind of embody all of those components, I think will have that entire look delivered. But it's nice, however, for a neutral foundation, quote unquote, to have a little more vibrancy to it. And next is my beloved Suku, which I had requested from Suku Europe, the team that sends me PR. Thank you, Suku Europe, for honoring this request that I asked for a new jar of the Suku foundation in shade 040. And compared to these two swatches, 040 looks yellow, which is insane because when I apply it on my skin, it doesn't read aggressively as yellow. It kind of works with my own skin tone and undertone and kind of settles into like a balanced place. But compared to the previous two, it just was like, it looks weird and almost makes the Prada look peachy and the Givenchy look golden. Figure that one out. And lastly, we have Lisa Eldridge's skin tint in number 10, again marketed as to be a neutral undertone. And I thought this would compare mostly with the Prada, but even it looks different from the Prada Reveal in MN60. The undertones across different brands is fascinating because it just goes to show you got to try it. You have to wear it. You have to figure it out. And by far, however, out of all these, From what I've tried and paired with other makeup items for my collection, by far the Givenchy Prisme Libre is my best match I have ever applied. I'm not even kidding. Not only the match is outstanding, but the texture is unlike anything I have ever experienced for a skincare based product. The fact that it doesn't appear too dewy on me, and it sets in a way that leaves my skin feeling soft without feeling made up. And again, I am on the drier part of the spectrum. So if you're oily, you might have a different experience than me. You might have to use their loose powder, which I tried. It's amazing, iconic. The highest selling loose powder on this continent and the next continent over. My gosh, understand the loose powder success. I didn't purchase then and there because I didn't think I needed it. But Kayla was nice enough to apply it on me. I think she applied number 4. So if you were wondering where you were on the loose powder lineup, it'll be number 5 if you're my skin twin. Here is the negative. It is fragrance. It is more fragrant than the Prada. On par-ish with the Dior, but I think it's because the loose blush also has fragrance. So I am giving myself a double whammy serving of perfume here. Will I tolerate it for the sake of this formula? Possibly. I technically don't need to. I love the Prada, although compared to the Givenchy is a better match in that it gives me a little bit of brightening. It does. And I had expressed this when trying the Prada foundation last year. Love the coverage, love the shade match, but thought the neutral made me look a little dull. But I forgave it because when I tried it again this year, I just was in love with the texture and the fluidity of the formula, how it blended on my skin, the finish it left behind, and I've been wearing it. But now trying the Prisme, oh my god, it's hard to choose. And with the Suku definitely is behind more coverage. Suku is like a dead-on medium coverage, medium to high if you build it up, whereas the Givenchy sits below that. And of course, in regards to the skin match, the Suku definitely leaves me a little more golden because of that yellowy undertone. But what's exceptional about the Suku foundation, even though that yellow undertone is dominant in the swatch, when you apply or when I apply it, it kind of settles into my own undertone and balances itself out. It's extraordinary. I don't know how the foundation does it, but it does. So I would say that is still a better match for me over the Prada as well because of that skin tone adjusting it does. But my gosh. So I have quite a bit of sample to go through. A little goes a long way. I don't need a ton. I personally love applying this product with fingers because I just think it's easier to get in and it's satisfying to apply, to just feel the texture of the product working into the skin and then relying on the warmth of your fingertips to better enhance the finish when everything has been applied, and you just kind of tap around and get those spots that have a little more product, more than what you would like, and just tap it in. I even tap this in under my eyes. Okay, if I wanted more coverage, I'll use the Gucci, which I recently purchased. Love that concealer. A little more brightening, a little more contrast if I wanted, but I don't think I need it. I didn't try the concealer, but based on what people were saying about the concealer in terms of its benefits and how great it is, if those match up to what I'm saying about this foundation, you're gonna be good. Now let's move on to this powder. Not a new product. This has been on the market for quite some time. The iconic loose powder products from Givenchy, it's just unmistakable, right? And what's noteworthy is when you open the jar, you have the Givenchy logo dots here in the compact. Now, I don't know if this is true, okay? Maybe I made this up, but here it goes. I think the fact that you just have those dots creating the logo serves as a functional design, because if you tap the jar once, that dispenses the right amount of powder product for one cheek. Or if you spank it once for one cheek. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. 2 spanks if you want to get crazy. I found that one tap is good for both cheeks if you want more of that wash of color. But if you want a little more color intensity, then 2 taps for each cheek. That's what I did. And it doesn't have to be hard. It's just a light tap to dispense the right amount of powder. And I believe, well, when I apply this, it looks matte, but just confirming here if there are other of like a pearl in here. I think it's mostly all matte, but the 4 different colors that just create this perfect harmony of shade. And again, I got the brick one because when it comes to red tone blushes, to have it in a loose powder format, I think yields a beautiful result because I feel the loose powder dispenses more evenly than a pressed powder would in a red tone, and you just have more control over the color intensity, over the blend. And my goodness, it's smooth, it's even. Like, this is my summer face, just effortless. I could throw this on the cheeks. I could even throw some through the eyes if I wanted this like red tone shade to come through, that sun kiss look that we want to achieve with makeup. Not with the actual sun, okay? Incredible product. I'm slow to the party. I realize that, and I could anticipate some of these comments like, just you wait, you're gonna have all these shades. No, I'm gonna try to hold back. I love number 6. The other shade I had on my radar was N04, Organza Cien. That's like the more orange terracotta kind of red situation. And the other shades here, the number 1, the Lilas, which is more lilac, the rose, the coral, I could get down with all those shades, but this for me was one of the more impressive shades, again, because with red, I feel more comfortable with this shade in this texture, in this loose powder format, and going to town. And as you saw in the footage, I think it's imperative that you properly work the loose powder into your brush, that you run the brush in the cap well so the pigments get evenly dispersed through the brush, so when you lay it down on your cheeks, you'll just have an even lay down of color where it won't appear splotchy, uneven, like you got too much of this here versus here. It's just even, and it's like you took a fabric and just laid it on your cheek. That's how the loose powder performs. It's just gorgeous. What more can I say? Now, this eyeshadow palette, let me explain myself. I have a reason for this. I visited the Chanel counter because one of you had asked if I could review, I think it's their newest spring release. Let's see here. The Léon Bleu Multi-Effect Eyeshadow Palette in Utopia. $76. I did swatch this palette in store, and this shade here was the most impressive out of all of them. It had like that blue flash. You could probably detect it in the photo here that it reflects blue, but the base is the violet. The next shade over, this like satiny taupe. Then you have this satiny pink, and then you have the classic pink iridescent opal. This shadow was surprisingly flaky. I wasn't too crazy about the texture. So again, I was impressed just by this shadow here, and I'm like, listen, I can justify buying this because it's limited edition to Chanel. The pans, the embossing, the classic camellia, that's like the flower logo for Chanel. Like, I get it. It's visually appealing. Instead, I saw these eyeshadow liner Khols. This is what got me. I'm getting into the Givenchy eyeshadow palette in a minute, forgive me. Taupe Fume, which is one of the limited edition shades, and another one, I can't see it here. Is it here? It's like a iridescent plum. I'll show you, if not in this video, in another video. I was taken aback by this plum taupe color story. I was like, ooh, now if I combined this shadow kohl liner on my lid as a base and then applied that Chanel shadow on top, that would be a pretty combination. So that made me more inclined to think about buying that quad, but it was until I saw this Givenchy eyeshadow palette. It was limited edition, and when Kayla was like, there's only one left, you know what happens to All Reason family when the representative says there's one left of something you had your eye on and you were back and forth. You didn't even have this product on your radar, but just the mention of the fact that there's one left is almost like the planets aligned for you to be there at the same time this product was there for you. I bought it. And then I looked at the color story and I said, this is a color story I could get down with more than the Chanel, and still expensive. This eyeshadow palette, although offers 9 shadows instead of Chanel's 4, retails for $70. Still quite expensive for just 9 shadows at this size. But I felt it housed more of the sparkly arcly shades that you see here, not only in the close-up footage that I wanted to capture in natural sunlight in a fresh, like open out from the box, because I think you can just get that dazzle effect in the sun more successfully than in artificial light. And with the swatches here, I could hear the first, like, dusty. It's dusty, Alicia. I know. This is not the strongest color edit that Givenchy has to offer. There was another 9-pan palette on the display that was basically a mini Mineralscapes. That was actually the one I was thinking about buying before Kayla told me that the spring one was like one left. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll try to get mini Mineralscapes at another time if it's still available. And their other 9-pan palettes looked quite nice, but the spring one got me because I started looking at the shadows and then I was thinking about the Chanel stick I purchased and I'm like, this could be a good thing. This could be a beautiful spring light pastel color story that, yes, not super heavy in the pigment department, but I think gave a little more than the Chanel for sure, and made me want to see something like this from Natasha Denona. And I get the sentiments expressed under my Bloom eyeshadow palette video where people were tired of the monochromatic stories. It's frustrating because we know Natasha can do color stories outside of monochromatic ones. And if she had done something like this, meaning she could have included the corals, 1 or 2 in there for sure, but then include the lilac and the taupe and the iridescence that other than the corals and the peaches. You know what I mean? That would have been sensational. But here we are with a $70 palette. Funny, Natasha's palette is $69 and 3 times as large with 15 shadows. But this is where I wanted to get into a live demo in demonstrating how I would use this eyeshadow palette with the Chanel stick. So if you want to see that in action, then it's time for you to come in a little closer. The other shade I was trying to look for in the Chanel liner lineup was the Mauve Chrome, which I'm happy to show you. The sticks are sticking, man. I was not ready for 62. This is like an iridescent lilac? Are you kidding me? The taupe Fume, the taupe is like the perfect plum taupe, cool, desaturated, muted, would look beautiful Mineralscapes with Citronousse from Viseart. But this is Chanel's Mauve Chrome. I said, what? Now, it might be hard to detect on camera. I get it. You gotta watch this or see this. Hopefully my footage is able to capture the twinkle factor here. The pearl in this stick was like, excuse me, it was like flashing. I was thoroughly impressed. And the taupe in 58, ooh-wee. This is the shade. This is the shade if you wanted the cool moment, all right? Look how beautiful that tone is. Is taupe with a little bit of that plum in there. Doesn't take away the cool undertone, but just sets it up where it gives a little more character. And what I decided to apply under this lighter shade here from the Givenchy palette. See where I'm going with this? I know. Calm yourself. Too much to take. While I understand the blush I have on is quite warm for this color story, I think we could make it happen. Let's do a little experiment. I have the Prada mascara on right now, which I would like to film a separate video for. While I understand that I included it in my Luxe haul one with close-ups and all that, I still wanted to film another video covering the different layers you can achieve. I even have footage of me adding a 3rd layer after like already 8 hours of wear. Yeah. You know I officially went off the deep end when I purchased the Hermes lip liner. But the cap though, like, stop it right now. This is in the shade 18 Beige Tay, which is like a rosy beige, but quite lovely as like an everyday sitch. I wore this all day yesterday and I just enjoyed the color. Beige tan is a little too cool tone for me. Like, it was hard to make a distinction between the liner and my lip color. Gucci's Glowing Care in Lynette Stone. Now for these eyes, I wanted to start off with the Taupe Shadow Khol, and although it's marketed to be a liner, I would like to apply a little more than liner serving. As you can see, we gotta work fast though, and I am so ill prepared because it will set. But before it sets, I want to blend it out first so that we have a nice base for the taupe shade in the Givenchy palette. But even just that, you see what I'm saying? What an effortless color to throw on your lash, or your lash line rather, but also to just gently carry it over the lid to create a little bit of shading there. It just pulls it all together. It makes it super glam without it being just involved. And I'll do that on the second eye, and I would suggest you do one eye at a time to avoid this pencil setting and you not being able to blend it at all. What a lovely color. This is exceptional. What else can I say? I adore the texture. Is easy to blend. I mean, if I'm in a jam, I could easily just use my fingers. I'm using my Sonia brush, a denser brush, to just move that product around, right? Come on. Come on! Now into this shadow here, and I will place it over the pencil to get a little more of a set, and also just to bump up the coloring here. Now, my original idea was to grab that same kind of tone shadow from the Chanel palette, but that had, I think, pearl in there. This matte does not, from the Givenchy 9 pan. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? And I'm purposefully using a dense brush to pick up enough shadow so it could show up well on my skin tone. That in itself, my gosh. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? That it's the plum in there. It's like almost like a dirty lavender. Oh, now I want to use this coral just to blur the edges of the plummy taupe. That's what I will continue referring to it as. And if you're wondering, is this shade here, because I think it'll be nice to invite this peachier tone, which, yes, I know it's not going to be in your face, but I think it shows enough where there's a distinct gradient that's happening here. And I don't mind the softer shadows. I think because the color story is just beautifully intentional, I forgive it. I forgive it. I forgive it. But here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to plop on this shiny shade, which when you saw the pan, I was like, whoa. And tap that right on the center. I'm using my finger for optimal pickup and also that adherence, right? I wanted to lay over the entire lid to get that sparkle going and also to ensure that I get maximum reflectivity on the lid. We got that on, but let's also apply, I think it will be pretty to see either this champagne or this icy pink. We could do one of each, why not? With that said, let me pick up a much smaller brush so I'm able to plop down these shadows precisely. We'll first start with this champagne-y kind of beige shade, which is not going to have the same sparkle factor as the shadow I applied on my lid, but it's going to have really nice shine overall and just a nice glossy look to the inner corner. And I think that's lovely. I'm also going to place some of that here on the lower inner part of my eye. Yes. And now with this icy pink shade, which, my goodness, is just, that's pretty. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And because I am selfish, I want to apply more shadow on these eyes, I would like to take this shade here. It's like a taupe, but it's on the shinier side. It takes on the same finish as the shadows I applied on my inner I was gonna say inner thigh. Where is my mind? My inner corner, but now brushing it through my inner arc just to add a little more dimension here. And I'm applying it on top of that peachy apricot we applied on the edges of the matte taupe. So it kind of moves into where that shadow is on the crease. And now that we have shadow, I think some concealer is in order just to create a little more brightening under the eyes to better showcase the eyeshadow. And that was the Gucci concealer in shade 28N. Exceptional formula. It sets itself. You don't need powder. Lightweight. Does not look textured under the eyes. Oh, much better, much better. And just going over what I did with the concealer leftover Givenchy blush that was on my brush there. And you know what? Let's go in with the number 62, the mauve shiny shade with the Chanel, but here on the lower inner part of the eye. Just a little pop. The other shades too in the lineup was a matte coral, which, oh my gosh, would pair beautifully with the new Suku quad that I received complimentary from the Suku Europe team, and a mint. The mint was really pretty. But I just got these two for now. I'm happy though I went with this palette versus the Chanel. I am. Because I feel there's just a lot more versatility in this palette. And I personally was more impressed by the shadow sticks than I was with the quad. I feel I could get a lot more out of this product, especially combining it with the other eyeshadow palettes in my collection and just enhancing the look with this beautiful taupe plum smoke we got going on. And you saw how beautiful it was on its own. If I just wanted to keep this super simple, I pull it across the lash line, smudge it out, even with my fingers, throw on the Prada mascara, and I'm done. I'm done. It just created this beautiful, elegant haze without it looking like charcoal black, but it had enough smoke in there to create a difference, to make a difference on the eyes, where someone could have complimented me and said, I love your eye makeup. I know. I'm just pushing up this mascara. Do we want to put on another coat? This is going to be my fourth coat. Just to get the lashes up, you know, in case there was any shadow that got on them. But this is what's insane about this mascara, and I'll go into more detail when I film the video about it, is its ability to layer and the lashes not looking chunky or goopy. I think that is attributed to the brush design. It's like a literal brush, where it's like a literal brush and it's only half a brush. This is like a renegade lash that's giving problems. But my gosh, we're getting crazy. And here is the final look using the Givenchy Prisme Libre foundation, the loose blush, the eyeshadow palette from the spring release, a little bit of Hermes thrown in there, as well as the Gucci. I love this look. I know the cheeks are red and the eyes are lilac, but for some reason it works. I think this just pastel spring type of color story is effortless. And again, I'm happy that I gave the Givenchy a chance. While I understand this is not the most impressive palette in terms of the finishes, what comes to mind, light scatters from our beautiful Millie, right? That's going to give you a lot more duochrome, multi-chrome, chromatica, right, across the board. And if that is your preference, then don't even look at this, okay? I'm just a sucker for simplicity and also a well done color story, a color story that I could finagle if I have to. And that's why, funny, I bought the Chanel liner first, and then I saw this palette and immediately fuse them together in my mind, anticipating the combinations that I can grab from this duo, and I'm happy with the result. Again, going back to this foundation, I might have to wait until after spring if I want to purchase a bottle. I don't need it because I still have my Prada foundation, which that scent is more tolerable in my opinion, and just knowing how I am during allergy season will be a lot better for me than the Givenchy scent. But my goodness, in terms of texture, incredible. Like, my skin looks like itself, but better. Blurred imperfections, even tone across the board, creamy velvet in terms of the finish, and how it works well with my other cheek products. I use a Valentino blush that, yes, I also bought over the weekend. Sweet Rebel. Oh my gosh, Sweet Rebel is beautiful. And the Strobe Liquid Blush Lights that I purchased from MAC 2. So much I have to cover, but I am thrilled with this makeup look, with this eyeshadow palette that I still have to use more of 100%. But this is what I wanted to demo, wanted to get on camera, because I knew combining the Chanel shadow stick with this palette would be a match made in heaven, and that's exactly what it is in my opinion, and I can't wait to use it more often. And comparing it to Lisa's Betty, yes, I did purchase Betty alongside other things, so that video will get into motion once my package arrives. But let me know down below, fam, have you tried the new Givenchy foundation? Do you already have this eyeshadow palette? Do you already have all 6 of the blushes? Let me know down below. And if you made it this far, make sure you like this video, consider subscribing, especially because, as you had heard, I have plenty of other products to cover, and you would know of those videos immediately when I upload if you click the notification bell. And if you want to check out what my February favorites were for the month, you can watch that video here. I'll see you there, see you down in the comments, and on here again next time.